Oh my God.
We did
Directly on time.
That's true.
Not a moment to spare. How is everyone doing tonight? We have
What's happening, boys?
Already set up on live chat, not top chat. We got sound coming through. We got the camera working.
Point today.
Yeah. Even though we struggled with technical difficulties, we're here on time. And we've always been on time. Always. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah.
We are
an unorthodox time.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
A Wednesday night. It's a little weird.
Thursdays come a day early today.
Yeah. But it is because, of course, tomorrow we are being oppressed and our views are being stolen by the presidential debates.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we already got a super chat. I'm not hearing the Biden TTS.
What the
though.
hell?
Our super chat's working. Well, I got $10.
Thank you for testing.
Yeah. It is.
Biden must be prepping
Yeah.
for his performance.
Yeah. You guys are so on time that you're a day early. You're right.
True.
Thank you for the $10.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, Biden, I think, is prepping. Apparently, the Biden TTS is not working right now. A Wednesday stream. It is pretty crazy.
Wild.
But we are hard at work.
Yep.
Throughout the weeks, and we are making massive progress towards the Shuck Oyster.
We had a bunch of very good, very productive conversations about stuff to come on that end.
Yeah, we got at least one video coming out this week.
Yep.
We had an interview with Ryan Howard and Wonky back at North Texas RPG Con that we have to get up, but we do have a special video coming up this week for the Shuck Oyster.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're working like madmen on it,
hard.
and it's fucking awesome. It's paying off. The feedback that we've gotten on it too has been great.
Very helpful.
Yeah, we're like 90, I'd say 90% done with the writing. We still have 1.5 major sections to complete. And once those are complete, we're going to go back and begin revising because there is some stuff that needs to change that we're already aware of and have been thinking about, but we just want to get it content complete before we start tinkering. But playtesting is going well. I'm going to be running it in Shadow Dark, not just in X, in a week or so with some people who've never played D&D or anything. So that'll be pretty fun. And if you haven't checked out the Kickstarter page yet, go sign up. I think it should be linked in the description. But let's see what you guys have to say. And then we can talk about leg day.
Yeah.
Ken Butler saying, the debates are tomorrow. Wednesday makes sense. Now I have to choose this or Salty. Who is Salty? And why is he encroaching on our...
Yeah, what the hell?
We do this every week on Wednesday. What a jerk. We are way too autistic to approve of this sudden change in schedule. I demand an apology and dino nuggies. I don't think we give out nuggies here. We give out tendies. Funny, today was my leg day. Good on you, man.
Good.
I'm going to guess the boys are going to disagree with this blog post. We shall see. You're right. I didn't even realize.
Yep.
Leg day. I have been summoned. Exactly.
Yep,
Squat,
that's
bench,
right.
deadlift. Good to see you, man.
And Bacon Gaming just released another good video in a streak of good videos.
Yeah.
Really like what he has to say. He had a video. Night Danger had a video yesterday.
Is that the detective one or the
yeah.
The mystery game? Yeah.
Mystery game, which is we may touch on because he makes mention of this article as well. So we'll see how the conversation goes.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about it. Sam really needs to check out Harn. Who's Sam?
Sam.
We do the Sam Sorensen, the author of the article. We do the legwork. Might as well be their tagline. Harn's cities, castles, chantries, abbey, etc. are great.
Nice.
I need to check out Harn someday. But
I used to have a big gigantic. I don't even know where I got it, but a big gigantic multi-panel Harn hex map. I think I gave it away because I didn't really know what Harn was at the time, and I still kind of don't. But I've heard the name.
It's
many
really
times.
cool, and I like the art.
Yes.
Which is enough for me in most cases. I like CSOTLO.
This is the I forget the first two. The something of the Invincible Overlord.
Oh, right. The thing that is referenced in the blog post.
Right.
So I guess you guys have already read this.
And I have not.
The blog post?
I read the blog post, not
Oh, yeah.
the
Not the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different animal, though, as Sam says. Pretty overwhelming in detail, if not in verisimilitude. Yeah. The Van. Howdy ho, everyone.
What's
How's
going
it going?
on, man?
Disco Barbarian. That's a cool name. Hide your dogs.
We got a $1.49 super chat as well from Mercurius.
Oh, damn.
This is going to be a problem. We got to keep a...
It's a rose.
Oh.
Thank you. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mercurius is who tagged us on that blog post, on that Twitter post that that was on there. Thank you for the $1.49.
Thank you.
And apologies that the Biden TTS does not seem to be working tonight.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate. Off grid. Hi, Al. How's it going, man?
What's happening? Oh, I think that's Fizzban. Fizzban the Fabulous, if you will. His icon from Dragonlance.
I can't see that far. Yeah. They're on time. Exactly. Never on time. Come on.
Never not on time.
Never not on time. We're always
He's
on
right.
time. Show them legs for the Legwork stream. Exactly. We always show legs here and feet. They're prepping his meth cocktail. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Current squat weights, BLG men.
Oh.
I actually, to be honest, I haven't squatted in a while. At my peak when I was squatting, I did 395 for 5, and then I hurt myself on a back offset. That was a couple years ago, but I did set my personal record for deadlift maybe a month ago, and that was 500 pounds.
Hell yeah.
Which I've been chasing for a very long time. And video does exist, and it's on Twitter. So
that's true.
Before all of you say Pixar, it didn't happen. It happened, and it's on Twitter. And I will post it many more times. Biden's got his veins pumped full of all the best stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of adrenochrome and all that good stuff. Look here, fat. Joe's not on drugs. You're on drugs. So you're telling me that you're doing the legwork on the Shuck Oyster. This is the kind of interesting thing we're going to talk about with regard to this blog post. Because yes, we are doing the legwork on the oyster. But we'll get to that. We will get to that. So stoked for the oysters.
Hell yeah. Us too.
I am too. I can't wait. And we got Basic Expert working on the cover for it, and we got to see the kind of a
some sketch
preview
work.
mock-up sketch for it. It's exactly what we wanted.
And more.
Yeah, and more. It's going to be fucking awesome. So as soon as we have the cover, which should be relatively soon, next couple of weeks, I think, we'll be sharing that with you guys. And
all over the place.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. Top of the pops tonight, boys. DD stream and BLG. That's right. Diversity and Dragons usually does his Wednesday streams, I believe, and we are encroaching on his day due to tomorrow likely having no views if we were to stream. Looking forward to this coming out. Yep, finish, revise, edit. I'm excited to see it finished. Yeah, I'm so pumped. And if you guys actually want to see it in its current state, which is riddled with typos, but has a lot of content. Yeah, go to our locals. Promo code MIDWIT gets you a month free, and you can help playtest this thing and see what it's all about. The bulk of everything is there. We have basically just 2 locations that need to be mapped, and then revision.
You have everything you need.
Yeah, you have everything you need to use it right now.
Frankly,
a lot
at this
more.
Point.
This thing is packed with hooks. And packed with shit to run into and shit to do, and it's going to be so much fun.
There's so much stuff in it. Way more than we thought.
Yeah, oh my God, I know.
Remember when we thought this was going to be like 30 pages?
30 pages? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 200. Yeah. Affinity Publisher or Adobe InDesign. I find Publisher to be intuitive and InDesign obtuse. We are using Affinity Publisher. It's good. We're still figuring some stuff out with it. Like, I'm going to have to go through and do, oh my God, because we want the PDF to be linked properly so you can navigate around in it.
Right.
And I don't know how to do that yet, but I will figure it out. But that's a finishing touches thing to go on it. But yeah, we're using Affinity because I hate Adobe, and Adobe's expensive, and InDesign and Affinity is not. Sly Blue Demon, good to see you, man. On? Harn is great. That's what I hear.
I believe you. Everybody says the same thing.
No, he prefers Affinity. Used to use InDesign professionally. Interesting.
Okay.
Harn Master, next level Harn. Our Primeval Fantasy, welcome.
What's happening?
Good to see you. Comment about Harn is spot on. It has its failings, but truly inspiring system. Ballsy, brutal. Nice.
Yeah, it seems like a very detailed campaign setting.
Yeah.
That it, again, the sense I get is that there's also, it's very detailed, but there's still plenty that's sort of unexplored on the map. There's still a lot of mystery left for you to sort of discover, fill in the blanks, which is the best way to do something like that.
Yeah, I agree. The post was on the Axe Discord, so it made the rounds. Nice.
Yep.
My player was on the Axe Discord, and then he left. City State of the Invincible Overlord. That's the one. Yeah. All this leg day talk, cries in wheelchair. Well, I hope you're in the combat wheelchair, though, at least. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was you. Nice. Thank you for tagging us in that, because it was very interesting. Greetings from Virginia. Nice. Well, greetings from Texas.
Yes. I escaped Virginia to come here.
I don't max squat except once a year. Too scary past 30 years old. Haha. I understand that. But if you have safeties in the squat rack, it's not scary, because if you get stuck or you can't come back up, you just put it down on the safeties and it's fine. Without safeties, it's a bad idea to do. So don't. And for lifting, if you're ever in the gym and some asshole asks you, hey man, I'm going to squat, can you spot me? The answer is no. You do not spot someone from behind when they're squatting. All it does, if there's going to be an injury, is going to injure two people. The only way to actually spot a squat is to have two side spotters to catch the weight, and then if you fail, all three of you bring the weight back up to the top. You do not look up the powerlifting injury videos of people getting crushed by people who bail on the bar on the squat. Do not ever spot someone. It is a really stupid fucking thing. There's nothing you can do anyway. People, they put their arms under the bar and they kind of squat with the person. What are you going to do? Catch fucking 500 pounds on your forearms? Get the fuck out.
Yes.
Great job on the deadlift. Thank you, man. A bunch of us just came from Double D's stream. Good to see you all. Nice. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to be reaching out to Diversity and Dragons soon. We want to have him come on relatively soon. We haven't even
Birthright.
Yeah, we want him to talk about Birthright. We haven't even reached out to him yet. So, but that is the plan. We would like him to come on and talk about Birthright. Started my Dolmenwood campaign. It's going well so far. We're 4 sessions in already. Nice. We can't cross the streams though. Yeah. When's the launch? The launch for the Shuck Oyster is tentatively set for late July, early August. We haven't pinned down the exact date yet.
Right. But soon.
Yeah, we've still got some stuff to finish on it first, because the idea is this thing will be ready. At least the PDF version is going to be ready when the check clears from Kickstarter. Everybody gets the PDF.
You get your product.
Yeah, you get your product
immediately.
Immediately. And then as we do have some potential stretch goals, which will include maybe expanding the content a little bit here and there. It won't be like new chapter or anything like that, but minor expansions to it. And that will, if that happens, then it will kind of push out the date for the physical product, because we have to get the proofs and things like that. But but once that's good, then we'll give everybody's drive-through codes and whatnot, and you can get it printed.
Yeah, that is the goal. Everything that can be done will be done.
Will be done, yeah.
Right.
And we've got a shitload of killer art. That's the other thing. We do have some art that is outstanding that will be in by then. But we've got Patty's Parlor working on some
really cool characters.
Some really cool character pieces, which is going to be great. Basic Expert is doing an
He had
interior.
a great idea for one of them, which we didn't think of.
Yeah, which we didn't think of, which was awesome. And this is why you hire artists. Somebody subscribed.
Azimuth.
Interesting, but why is it that the Biden TTS didn't work? Because I think those are coming through the same service.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're coming through different things. But yeah, we got we have some original pieces in there and a whole bunch of other really good stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be soon, and we have a lot of stuff to come in between now and then.
Right.
To talk and share more about.
Yeah.
What you're gonna get.
That's right, Maliki. It's not Thursday. It is Wednesday, the day that we always stream. The Flying Goat. I'm putting together a pirate campaign, and it's going to be perfect for that. Dolman, for which game are we talking about here?
I think we're talking about the Shuck Oyster, and if you're not, you should, because the Shuck Oyster will work perfect in your Tortuga place if you're doing Pirates of the Caribbean or Black Sails.
It'll work in anything that is roughly fantasy, basically.
Right.
Well, one thing he said in the blog post was something to the effect of adventure modules only. In terms of like products, we'll see, because I don't remember. I did read it, but I don't remember the point.
We're gonna read it again.
Yeah. What kind of design do you do? I just use Affinity for fun.
To Bacon.
Oh yeah, to Bacon. Gotcha. We will send Los Orcos por la Guerra to you, BLG Village, to pillage. Orco. I wonder if he's talking about the Mexican orc painting from WotC.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. I used to do layout for technical reports professionally. Nice. That's right. There's a debate tomorrow. Me, I haven't voted since 2004. Is there an ETA on the Kickstarter release date? Yep, just went over that. Early August, late July. Y'all's vid the other day on soap operas was so on point. Criminally underrated concept.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you. We agree. And we finally, YouTube deigned to give us A/B testing on thumbnails. So we're doing some A/B testing on that and seeing if maybe it can get a little more reach at some point. But yeah, it was a fun video to make. I have a feeling that WotC is banking on the Player's Handbook, DMG, and Monster Manual to underperform so they can justify going digital.
I don't know if they're thinking, because I don't know that would help them justify going digital, because going digital, they already want to do that. I don't know if if the book sales underperform, I don't know if corporate at Hasbro, they're just going to see, well, your sales went down.
Your sales went down, yeah, exactly.
Now your sales went down here, so I'm going to give you more money to.
Yeah, and if they weren't making money on the physical books, they would not be making them already.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would just be bad. I think it will underperform, certainly in comparison to the 5e launch.
Yeah.
But I think that would just be bad for them.
BLG, do you have an editor already? Sort of. We've got several people that are helping us, but we told everyone hold off on like typo reports and broken sentences and things like that, because we haven't gone through to fix that yet in some places. Some places are more polished than others. But yeah, we will let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoop. Trent just jumped down. There we go. We got people saying hi to each other. What is Harn? It is a game? It is a setting? I think it's a game.
Is it a game too?
I don't know.
I thought it was just a setting.
Yeah, it looks like a really cool
Harn
medieval.
Master, I think, is a game. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I know it's at least a setting.
Yeah, it looks cool as fuck though. It's very, very medieval. Best RPG for a Mafia 1920s setting. Vampire the Masquerade. No. You could do something.
You could
use BRP or Mesmerus.
Use BRP.
Yeah.
You could use Call of Cthulhu and just not use the Lovecraft stuff.
Yeah,
Or do a Mafia game and use the Lovecraft
stuff.
Yeah.
Either way, that's a good way to go. Is Harn an acronym? I don't think so.
I have no idea.
How's it going? Harn, you can find a lot of legally free content and other cheap rule sets.
Nice. I like the word free.
Yeah. There's Gangbusters BX or Savage Worlds.
Oh, for
1920s. But will Oysters have squatting in it? It won't. Not like weightlifting. But it has a lot. There is actually a piece of exercise equipment technically in it. When you enter.
Which one is this? I've already forgotten. We have so much.
You have a special way in which you have to enter a room.
I don't even remember. This is surprising to me.
1 second, boys.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. We don't want to spoil. Don't want to spoil it. Yeah. It's really good though.
Yeah.
Exactly right. The one-person spot for squat is ridiculous to watch. Yes, it is. Gangbusters is great.
Yep.
All right.
Rex Teal-Seater as well. Those guys.
Tell Diversity and Dragons about how Jenny D is your queen. He will approve, I'm sure. Hopefully. I loved Birthright, one of my favorite D&D settings. Yeah, I didn't know about Birthright until...
I don't know much of anything about it.
I was looking at it because when we first started doing this and we were like, let's run D&D, and I was looking through the old campaign settings, it looked really interesting to me, but I wasn't sure.
That's right, I forgot about that. Before you decided on Axe. That's right. I remember we were looking at a bunch of like older games.
Yeah, like maybe we do Greyhawk.
Greyhawk or
we were originally thinking of doing.
We were originally thinking.
Yeah, there was like Kingdoms of Calamar.
We looked at Mystara briefly.
I was like, we're not doing Forgotten Realms. We thought about maybe like having something and then turning it into Planescape, and thought about doing AD&D Second Edition to try and give it another shot on my end. But you convinced me otherwise. You convinced me that everything that I said about it was correct.
Yep. True.
But yeah, it's the more I read about it, I was like, it sounds fucking awesome. The thing that pisses me off is that it's not in print on demand. You can get the PDF, but you can't get a fucking print on demand.
Birthright? Is it a WotC owned?
It was a TSR setting. It was the last campaign setting they released before 3rd edition came out.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 95.
I thought it was older. Okay.
No, it was in the 90s. Yeah.
I wonder.
It might have. It was probably before 95.
If anyone knows, I'd be curious because I've been thinking about this as well. I think. What's the name of Larry Elmore's setting? I think it's called Sovereign Stone. I still have a source book. I don't know if it's the main like campaign setting book or not. But I've been curious about that and like checking it out. Not even really again because I never like looked through the book.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious because I love Larry Elmore's art, and I'm wondering how good or bad of a writer he is.
All right, let's see here. Hollow Earth Expedition is built for 1930s pulp adventure. The Secrets of the Surface World supplement fills out the setting on the surface.
Nice.
Well, you could use Wretched RPG. Would be another good choice.
That's true. And I was in. It wasn't 1920s, but it was a gangster one shot with Mr. Max and the 4D crowd.
Oh yeah,
a couple months ago, which was really fun.
Yeah.
They didn't use the Wretched system. They
used.
Was it the Easy D6?
It wasn't Easy D6. It was something else. It was like, was it Free League or no?
It may have been. I think it might have been one of Total Party Skills games.
That's what it is. Yeah. It was Total Party Skills.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Yeah.
What it was, but.
Hey to the same bunch of divers. How's it going, everyone?
What's up?
How do you make a good treasure map for a game?
A treasure map?
I don't know.
Like a pirate treasure map? Like X marks the spot treasure map?
I don't know. I've never done that.
Hire an artist.
Yeah. Put an X on the map and then do wilderness adventures until you get there.
Or what you do is you incorporate the Shuck Oyster, because there may be someone.
Actually, there is a treasure map.
There is a treasure map.
Yeah, there is a very good treasure map.
You gotta pay to explore it, but it is very fun to examine.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. So yeah, we do know how to make a treasure map, and the way that you make a treasure map, a good one, is you have it tattooed on the body of a hot babe.
Yep.
So that's how you do it. Best 1920s mafia settings are Call of Cthulhu and Vampire the Masquerade. Yep.
Great minds.
Yeah. These guys are so right. Man, the YouTube algorithm just stopped recommending your stuff to me. What the hell? It kind of, I mean...
I feel like this happens sometimes, because there's some people who I'm subscribed to, and for weeks I'll see their stuff normally, and then for a couple of weeks I won't.
I think what it is, though, is that YouTube doesn't just go, oh, you like this channel, let's see this. It's once it has any sort of data about you and your viewing preferences, if it isn't sure that a video is something you want to watch, it's not going to try and put it in front of you. Because the YouTube algorithm is really, like, everyone says, oh, the algorithm sucks and blah, blah, blah. It's really not. It's awesome. It is helping us find all of you guys in this audience, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to find every single video of ours. We would like it to, but it's very much tuned to your preferences. So YouTube doesn't actually push videos out like randomly. You as a user kind of summon videos that you are interested in. It works kind of the other way. What is up, my dog-faced pony soldiers? That's a good one. I wish Biden could have read that. I thought you guys took a break.
No.
No?
Nope.
No, we didn't. Oh, because he couldn't see our stuff because of the algorithm. We did not know.
Oh.
Can you spill the $1 million stretch goal? 1 second.
Oh. One thing that helps with the algorithm is to slap that like button, subscribe to the channel, and yap it up in the comments.
Hell yeah, brother. Thank you very much.
I don't know why Biden didn't take $10, but
earlier,
yeah.
He must have been
asleep.
Yeah, he was asleep. But thank you. Thank you very much for the $10.
Thank you, man.
Or for the $5. We appreciate it. What was the question we just had?
$1 million
$1 million stretch goal is a hot tub stream.
Hot tub stream.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's it going, Bowtied Gamer? Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, good people. I'll make sure to look all these up.
Awesome.
Love the idea of Birthright campaign. The books are expensive now.
I guess they're out of print.
They're out of print. That's the fucking thing that sucks. It's like one of those things that's just not on drive-through yet, which is horse shit. I would like it, or if they could just re-release it, in a nice... If they could just give it to me for free in a perfectly bound, wonderful package, and I didn't have to pay any money, and I could just have it, that'd be great. That'd be the best. Yeah. Jeff Hatch has Pulp Adventure, but I haven't finished reading it yet, so I don't know if it's a good recommendation or not. He's usually in Diversity and Dragon Stream.
Oh, cool.
Okay, cool. Pulp Adventure. Interesting. I haven't heard of that one. Yes, the oyster. I thought it was Thursday for a minute. Nope.
Yep.
Soy orcs. Yeah. I plan on grabbing BLG by the oyster and trying to hammer it into Cyberpunk. That...
From a genre perspective,
it wouldn't be too hard to adapt.
Yeah. There's some things that exist in a fantasy world that definitely don't in a cyberpunk world.
Yeah.
Unless you just say that it's Netrunner shit. In certain cases. You can do... Here's the thing. Anybody who has an imagination...
Yeah, if you have an imagination...
You can slide this on in quite easily.
It would... work beautifully, I think, with modern necessities. Modern, not only modern necessities, but I think it's called Cutting Edge, which is the cyberpunk version of modern necessities that got stretch goal-ified on Victor's Kickstarter.
As I said before, I'm contributing not having a hot up stream.
Oh yeah, he's contributing to not having a
hot tub stream. Oh, the stupid mouse is doing it again. Even though it's plugged into a different USB thing. Would you consider the oyster more of manly sword and sorcery or feminine furry high fantasy? This is definitely manly sword and sorcery. And there is actually a manly sword.
Yes, the most manly sword.
The product of sorcery. Yeah, the most masculine sword.
A product of pure heroism.
Yeah. It's named Coward's Bane. It's a great magical item, and
well,
it's fucking awesome.
It's only great if you're Chad enough.
Yeah.
If you're
you're a coward, it's not a good one. Did we? Yeah, of course we saw.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I woke up and watched Runeslinger's video about us. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, we've been talking over DMs on Twitter for a while, and we're really looking forward to. We're gonna talk to him at some point, like over stream and whatnot, maybe be on his show. But we also got invited, and this is a bucket list thing for us.
Right.
We got invited to play Wraith the Oblivion.
Yeah.
With Runeslinger. So
yeah,
that's we're pretty excited about that.
Yes.
But that won't happen for a while.
With the ultimate guy.
Yeah. So I'm so pumped about that. But we can't do that until the Kickstarter is done. Yeah. Unfortunately. This is the thing too, is our players in the Axe game that I have right now, like they've gotten so into it that we've got one of them is going to start being the judge, I think, because I haven't been able to. I've been neglecting my duties, my downtime adjudication duties. But one of the players was like, "I want to be GM," and so they bought the Star Trek Adventures game, and we all made characters for that. And I'm so fucking pumped to play that. So our the gaming is good right now.
Yep.
But I don't have the time or the energy to dedicate enough of energy to it.
Yeah.
I did my last X session was literally just rolling random encounters. I did the zero prep thing, which I don't prep much anyway beforehand, but I was like, whatever, we're just using the tables tonight. But they did stumble into an encounter with the Shuck Oyster, and they murdered one of the NPCs.
Yep.
Which is, exactly what they always do. Thank you for this. The soap opera video was great. Thank you, man. Yeah. We put a lot of work into writing those. They take a long time.
Yeah.
It's a lot more complicated to actually sit down and get these ideas out. It's not more complicated, but it takes a lot of energy.
It does take effort to take thoughts and put them in not only a way that's understandable, but in a way that doesn't take 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. So we always love hearing that you guys like the videos because we make them for you and for us. We make them for all the people that are gamers like us that don't have anyone else making content for them. That's why we do it.
Correct.
I had to explain to my Cyberpunk Red group the Mexican orc thing. They really didn't get it. Nobody does. If WotC was going digital, Magic would already be completely digital. Magic's different though, because that's a card game. Like online poker exists, but that's never going to get rid of the physical card game in person.
Yeah.
It is a little bit different for TTRPGs, I think. They won't drop physical until it's too expensive, but they will shift focus to digital eventually. Yes. Hasbro wants to go digital. Yeah. How do I email you guys? I own a bakery and want to send you guys some delicious treats in celebration of the Oyster launch. Oh, wow. I got your email. So I'm sorry I didn't respond to you. I did get your email. I will respond to you tomorrow morning. Well, Magic cards are closer, and thank you for wanting to send. Yeah, it's very generous.
Offer.
Yeah. Well, Magic cards are closer to crack than D&D books. Worst case scenario, WotC will license out D&D like Topps did for BattleTech. Would that be the worst case?
That'll be a better case scenario, I think, than what we have.
$5. Have you thought about
doing a driving stream of consciousness style stream?
J. Scott Garibay driving. We could.
We can't compete with J. Scott Garibay.
Yeah, we really can't. Regard. How are we going to beat the master? I don't think Hasbro has an eye on WotC except for the balance sheets. I don't think so. I think they're pretty intimately involved. I mean, they made a movie. They did all sorts of stuff. On the subject of soap operas, I've been running my Dolmenwood campaign that way. I'm hoping my players will adapt well to it.
Nice.
Yeah, I think they will. It's a lot of fun. Not the best choice, but good. Don't know what that is. I just joined in. How come they started a day early? Because tomorrow is the debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump. And that's going to steal all our views, and we need views to live. So
literally,
yeah,
right
like tungsten. Primeval Fantasy. I saw the Runeslinger video that mentioned the BLG boys and their soap opera theory.
Yep, Runeslinger did a video.
Yeah,
Max and Company.
Yep,
did a response, which was very interesting.
And then we got
Bacon Gaming was on there.
Red Room did another one on it as well.
Yep, I think yesterday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. BLG thinks their viewers do. That's true. I can read lips. Silencing your mic has no effect on me, bro. Then what did I say? What did I say? Put it in the chat. That's but be respectful. There's nothing wrong with spotting a buddy on squat. Bros help bros. Helping someone from behind does nothing. It doesn't help. And it's only a way for two people to get injured. Side spot. You have two people side spotting. I recently thought, where is the Civil War RPG given the current state of things? As far as flavor, it would be equal parts Jericho and Red Dawn. The party plays a small resistance cell. Maybe. You could totally do that, but
a Civil War RPG?
Yeah, like a modern day Civil War.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I think it's a little too topical for most people. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you'd get some people who would, I think, purchase that up front because it is topical, but I think it might like age out really quickly. The idea of like a modern day Civil War in general is not necessarily a bad idea, but I think it needs... You need to think about it, I think, to make it more timeless and to not sort of be pigeonholed one way or another.
As far as world resources for the game go, that's easy. Google Maps and all forms of internet screenshots and general data mining. Maybe for the treasure map? I don't know.
Maybe.
A friend got me a copy of Never Going Home, World War I sci-fi dark magic setting, but the rules are very confusing. Has anyone ever heard of that game?
I've never heard of that game. But I love... World War I is... so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
World War I is so interesting.
Why would WotC make their art shit just to try and make people want to move to digital, especially since they're likely using the same art for the digital version? I think they have a bad art director.
They're obviously playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
They have a 900 IQ. They're making it so terrible that they'll eventually win somehow.
But Shauner, can you roleplay in it? That's the question.
That's always the question.
Yeah. There was some good art in the previews. It's just a few are getting the rounds. We use TPS. Total Party Skills. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
The setting is incredible, but the rules have dice and poker cards. It's really confusing.
What is this in regards to?
The World War I. I think. I think they just have a bet. Yeah. I don't think WotC actually has an art director. Probably one of the firings. Yeah, but I think all this art and stuff was done a long time ago.
It was done a long time ago, and I don't know whether someone got fired or not. It's not going to get better. That's for sure.
All treasure maps lead to the Oyster.
Damn right.
I just borrow settings and use game systems I always use.
Yeah.
A treasure map at the Oyster sounds euphemistic. It's not a euphemism. It is literal. Yeah. Written into the flesh of a hot chick. I expect treasure trails more than treasure maps. The map takes you to the Shuck Oyster. It does not. There are too many channels to remind everyone on YouTube. Yeah. $13.
You said blah, blah, Oyster, blah, 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 pole dancer, blah, blah, single moms, blah, mic drop.
Yep. You got me, man. That's exactly what
Precisely.
I said. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
All right, come on, let us scroll. There we go. Don't complain about Google's AI. It holds a grudge. Compliment her once in a while. And thank you for the $13. That was very generous. Okay, it's not the algorithm's fault. BLG is blaming us instead. Unbelievable. You're damn right. I do have something funny, though. Yesterday, we were talking to our buddy who's going to help us with the Kickstarter video. And he was like, because he does advertisements and all sorts of stuff. He's like, okay, so I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I'm going to be the consumer. And he's like, I'm going to be really harsh with you guys. He's like, so just tell me, what's the good thing about your product? And Nick was like, well, I mean, it's got like some replayability. He's like, plenty of my games have replayability.
Yep.
What do you got now? And then I looked at him and I said, yes, but you don't have an imagination. And he started laughing. He's like, all right. And then that was just the end of that interview part.
It was a great conversation.
It was a great conversation. 24 minutes behind. Well, put it on double speed. The algorithm is going to develop a cult the same way people develop rain dances, applying patterns to chaos.
I think that's...
About the YouTube algorithm?
Yeah, the algorithm. I don't think so. I think that's giving too much credit to people, to be honest with you.
You can just make Shuck Oyster and Elfines Online Cyberpunk Red DLC.
I don't know what
that is.
Elfines Online is.
Yeah, I don't know. This is true. What's going on, Ironcaster? We're just we're just shooting the shit with you guys until we decide to look at this
article,
this blog post. Yeah,
what have you.
I don't get the overwhelming love for Wraith. I mean, the personal horror stuff is great, but all the Stygian crap is hot trash.
I mean, yeah, the worst part about Wraith is the politics of like the Shadowlands.
Stygia, and who gives a fuck? That's not what the game is about.
That's not what the game is about at all. So I agree with you.
Have you guys read any / ran Lamentations of the Flame Princess adventures? I have read almost all of them, and I consider them all to be unwinnable.
Nice. I haven't read or run any or played in any adventures. I do have the blood. I think it's the Blood Sorcery book, but I've never used it. I've never ran Lamentations.
I've played in Lamentations, a one shot by Samwise 7.
Oh wow!
This was, I think, during Brigade Con.
Okay.
Where we met, and I think it was Mercanto's Lair, and it might have been his adventure that he ran. It was weird. But I haven't read any of the other stuff. It's not a game I've been terribly drawn to, basically. Which is nothing against it. I haven't been interested enough to read it. I'm not against the idea of unwinnable dungeons, sort of adds the danger surrounding them, but I'm curious how you guys feel about it. I mean, it should be, I think, possible to win. Win, I guess, but it's also, it's like, to me, I don't care about balance.
Yes.
And that's actually part of one of the core things about the Shuck Oyster is we're not setting out to make this balanced in any way. There are very hard challenges. There are some easy challenges. It's presenting a piece of the world, and the piece of the world is what it is. So
no, I agree. Again, if you're quote unquote balancing anything, but you should be balancing it against an objective world. So I am not opposed to exceptionally deadly dungeons.
If it makes sense.
I think I've talked about this on the stream before. I've never gotten a chance to.
Would you like a Zen?
I'm okay.
Okay.
For now.
Brought to you by Zen.
Yeah. But I have the Slumbering Tsar book by Frog Gut Games. The whole gimmick of that game is it's an exceptionally deadly series of locales and dungeons and locations. Some are basically unwinnable if a very particular set of unlikely circumstances happen, but it makes sense that if certain things happen,
you're kind of fucked.
You lose.
Yeah.
Like Orcus
Yeah, Orcus shows
someone
up.
and like, okay, good luck.
Have fun.
you lose.
Yeah. What's winnable to you? Clear out the dungeon, beat the boss? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mexican orcs would be perfectly fine in Shadowrun. That's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
There would literally be Mexican orcs.
That is true. Well, considering what WotC has been doing and how far political G.I. Joe got and was reeled back in, it's hard to see Hasbro paying attention. G.I. Joe got political? I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but I didn't know that.
But G.I. Joe was always political. It was just G.I. Joe was always kind of like soft propaganda anyway.
But the good kind, where America's good.
Yeah, where America wins.
Yeah. And fights bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like superhero bad guys.
Yeah.
Guys with titanium masks or whatever. Destro had. Snake Men.
I think if this new version flounders, Renegade Studios will be taking over.
I don't think so. I don't think Hasbro will ever get rid of
D&D.
The D&D brand. Even if they shutter, they're not going to shutter Wizards of the Coast. I don't think that's going to happen. It costs them nothing to sit on the property forever.
Yeah. You can help someone from behind unless the guy's form is dog shit, then you help him from the sideline with instructions. Yeah. Or just, here's the other thing. Just squat in the squat rack. Put up the safeties. I don't like squatting in a rack that doesn't have safeties. I just don't. You could adapt Twilight 2000. Maybe for 1920s, I'm not sure. I have no idea. I don't know Twilight 2000.
I don't know it either.
The National Divorce RPG by Black Lodge Games, forward by Michael Malice, yeah. Asking WotC to re-release old TSR products with actually good binding, sadly, one can only wish. I know. Goodman Games was the only company they allowed to do this, and now they're limited even more. That's so irritating.
Yeah. Oh.
Jumped again. Runeslinger and I have the best convos. That is true.
Yep.
Sequel to Dr. Quinn. No, we still got to get the first Dr. Quinn out. It's still on track for 2052. WotC is going down the gutter, frankly. Absolutely. It's trash.
Yep.
Look, it doesn't matter that WotC art is bad. It matters who made it. Yep. All you need to do for that modern day Civil War, the movie, is to reskin the Zombie World playtest hack by AJ Ferguson. The orc art was for a Spanish textbook, and the elf one is for a Mormon brochure. That reskin would be a basic version of the game. You could graduate it into an advanced version by blending some more Apocalypse World with it. The recent update without the sex moves.
Stretch goal unlocked.
Yeah, I haven't generally liked D&D art since third. I didn't really even like third edition, though. There was some good stuff, but there was a lot of... It's where the cracks started to surface.
Right. Yeah, it really did change. Because anything before third edition is more or less compatible.
Yeah.
Aesthetically speaking, mechanically speaking, 3E is really where the big shift happened. Oh.
I like how progressive viewed orcs, a savage group of tribals based on the Germanic tribes, as black. I guess it's not racist when they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Thank you for the $5 Canadian,
Thank you, man.
though. Twilight 2000 is a post-World War III Poland with small groups picking up the pieces, surviving and skirmishing with each other. Nice.
I thought it was like a sci-fi game. Evidently, I was wrong. We should go back up. Yeah.
We should go back up. But you know what we should do?
Yeah.
Is read that blog post. We should get to the topic of the stream. Which we're going to do. Give me 1 second while I switch over. There we go. We are not going to be able to look at the chat because our technical setup does not allow for it at the moment. We can see the chat. We just won't be able to highlight your chats. Speaking of which, let me clear that chat first. There we go. All right, coming over to the screen share. There we go.
So this is what a lot of people have been talking about lately this week.
Yeah. So we got tagged in this by Mercurius Alicious. Is that his name? He's in the chat right now, and we thank you very much for alerting us to this. But Macrease commented on this and basically said that, like, yes, all like we pride ourselves at Autark for
doing the legwork and
doing the legwork. So we're gonna go through and read this to you guys, and then comment
give
on
our
it,
thoughts.
and hopefully you guys will give your thoughts as well. It'll take us a while to get to them in the chat, but we will go back through it. But in praise of legwork, a question.
This is by Sam Sorensen.
By Sam Sorensen, and the link to this should be in the description of the video. So please go give him some traffic and check it out as well. But thank you for giving us traffic. A question. You ever try to run a campaign with a city in it? Not just a town or a settlement or fort, but a proper city. One with an actual street map and whole neighborhoods and thousands of people living within the walls. I certainly have many times. It's hard. It's really hard. I live in New York, one of the biggest cities in the world, and the complexity of the streets and the depth of the city itself is just staggering. Every time I think I understand a neighborhood or even a couple of streets, I find new nooks and crannies tucked away. I often wonder when my players reach a city, how can I best replicate that feeling? How can I create that particular impression of unfolding layers of people and places, where there's always something new to discover just around the corner? The answer, I think, lies in City State of the Invincible Overlord, the 70s era Judges Guild city module. It depends a little which version you read, but more or less all city-states share a common feature, a huge list of NPCs in their hundreds and thousands. Crack open the PDF and seemingly endless quantities of people leap out at you, all sorted by their main locations, shops, apartments, temples, and so on, which in turn gets sorted by the street and neighborhood. I don't want that level of detail in a game.
So here's the thing. So there's a lot that I think you and I would agree with. He is getting, and he lives in New York. He understands what is sort of dramatically appealing, and is connecting. All good.
Yeah, I just noticed someone said the music was too loud, so turn that down a bit.
So he's recognizing correctly what is sort of dramatically interesting, and the fact that a city, any sort of urban environment, whether you're doing it modern day, sci-fi, cyberpunk, or fantasy, sword and sorcery, there's a sort of life and a vibe and a feel to an urban environment, or even any kind of large settlement, that you should be trying to convey. So he's right, and cities are very complicated. Obviously, modern day New York City is incredibly complicated in a lot of different ways. Some of that is going to be the case in different games, even in a fantasy game. So that this is all good. You should be thinking about these things. And he's right that the characters are fundamentally what. Now he's referencing NPCs from this sort of source book, or I guess you'd call it a source book. So yes, as we've said before, we said in our soap opera video, NPCs characters are the building blocks of a world, and are ultimately what is going to make your game and your world memorable and interesting.
Yeah.
And there is a certain level of detail that you need to offer or be prepared to either improvise or come up with ahead of time, or, really a little bit of both.
Yeah.
This is all true. So there's a lot of, he's noticing a lot of things and has a lot of sort of assumptions and opinions that we would agree with. But to your point, there's a tendency already, or there's, maybe a temptation to take the detail too far, or like a foreshadowing of what I think is going to come later in this article.
Yeah. And he kind of gets right onto that. So it's like on some level, City State overwhelms. Its ancient graphic design and information ordering certainly doesn't help. But at the same time, once I started digging into the book, I found myself getting acclimated There's a learning curve to the text, but once I started climbing the curve, I realized the huge breadth of information and content available. Here's an example, blah, blah, blah. And so it's got 3 NPC entries here.
With different stats.
And and like they're horrible. You can see there's all these numbers. I think is like hit point ratings for all the people in like this squad or whatever. Say what you want about modern games. Layout has improved. Even games that are poorly laid out now are not written in 7-point font like fucking TechML.
Right.
The horizontal line of numbers is the stat block. Class, alignment, level, hit points, armor class, save level, strength, intelligence, wisdom, constitution, dexterity, charisma, and weapon. Rhino Rudigor, the innkeeper of the Blue Dolphin Inn, is a neutral level 2 fighter. Not particularly powerful in combat, but quite physically fit. Below his stat block, the book details the bartender, Chorus Brighthips, also with her compressed stat block, which you'll notice uncomfortably includes an extra keyword for the stat, femme. Why would that be uncomfortable? Saying that it's female, right? And the note that she sings. From there, it mentions the Blue Dolphin's customers, freemen, sailors, and nobles with stat blocks. The contents and dangers of his chest, the prices of the food sold, snake fried and bear fat, and gambling rates. I admit I'm not quite sure what Legend of the Flying Citadel, Storm Giant's Castle, and Harridan Gap is. I'd wager it's a reference to another Judges Guild module. Rhino, Chorus, and the Blue Dolphin form just one entry of literal hundreds that the book includes. All this info is, of course, very geared for the particular sort of slash and burn 70s adventuring style. But even sans stat block, these entries contain loads of exciting information. Just look at the next 2 entries. Jolly Nabin, the chaotic evil smith that works behind the dolphin, is close to broke, and thus probably happy to sell you his unicorn, in quotes, but also possesses valuable information about the dwarven mines. Squeaky Worder, the local racketeer, is the thane of a senator and thus mostly immune to prosecution, and so accordingly is loaded to the gills. The text could use a sharp editor's pass, of course, but this is good stuff, ripe for adventure, all contained in just a few lines. Across an entire city's worth, the book brings enough content to run a dozen campaigns, each unlike the other.
This is good.
This is cool.
I don't give a shit about the stat blocks.
Yeah. If you can't make up a stat block for a regular person in your mind during the game, what are you doing?
Right.
It's just a couple numbers.
Yeah, and it's the least interesting thing.
It's the least interesting thing.
But this stuff, even a couple lines, a couple sentences, we're talking about motivations. We're talking about connections. We're talking about what am I doing in the world? I'm a real person anchored to a job, a motivation, a connection. This is all good. Everyone has problems, and when they have a problem, this is fuel for your players and for you to get involved and do cool stuff with it. So he's 100% right. This is all right so far. I agree.
This sort of stuff is awesome. Which brings me to my original point. City State of the Invincible Overlord is, as far as I've seen, the closest thing to a city module that's actually ready to run. GMs need to get through a lot of reading, obviously, and the book is more than a little painful to our modern eyes, but it does present a whole city. Bob Bledsaw and Bill Owen, the 2 writers, I thought they were going to be characters, really did just take the time and effort to detail more or less every street there was. I'm sure it took a breathtaking amount of time and effort on their part, and for all its flaws, I've never seen anything quite as large or as detailed as City State. Which is cool and impressive on its own.
It's cool, but so I've never seen anything, what did he say, as large or as detailed? Possibly true, I don't know. But large and detailed are not necessarily good things.
Right. It depends on
what you're trying to do. What is your objective here?
And what the information is, because and we'll kind of go on to this in a little bit, but there's a point at which detail is completely pointless.
At some point you reach diminishing returns, and if you go further, you reach like a negative cost.
Right. This is what I call legwork. The long, slow, detailed, sometimes painful process of going through to figure out and then write down all the important details of everything that's supposed to exist in the imaginary world of the game. Consider a starker example. Using John Harper's Blades in the Dark, of which I've played dozens and dozens of sessions over the years. In the original Blades, Harper included a map of Doskval, the city in which Blades is set. Here's a lightly interactive digital version. It describes about a dozen districts, each of which includes a few key locations in the basic outline of the major streets. After a few years after the release of Blades, Tim Denny released his detailed Doskval street maps with Harper's blessing. Denny's maps are huge. They include detailed maps of the streets, almost all of which Denny named, along with the canals, bridges, and rooftop crossings of each of the also now named neighborhoods within each larger district. A tremendous amount of effort went into these maps, but the difference at the table proves immediately noticeable. The ability to say, "Oh yeah, our gang runs Fish Market with our headquarters located on the roof of Pike Court between Sharktooth Alley and Row Lane," and have those be real places on the map feels immensely cool and exciting. In my old campaign, players would war with other gangs and redraw turf lines according to the canals and streets. Who gets tolls on the Moon Bridge was a hotly disputed question.
So he's giving an example here of something he's pointing to as like a good. This is what he wants to see. This is an example of what he's calling legwork. And to our earlier point, to a certain extent, detail, particularly with regards to detail about a character, a person in a world, I do want that. I do appreciate that. It is, if you're giving me a city, if that's specifically what I mean for Blades in the Dark, from what I understand, you live in this city. It's one city, so I'm not opposed to having a little bit more of it detailed. It is also explicitly a heist game. You're doing sort of one activity again and again and again. These things do matter for the gimmick, but when do you stop? Again, there is a criticism. It's usually like a straw man criticism against sort of an appreciation for simulation that goes something like, well, why aren't we tracking this? Why aren't we tracking fingernail growth?
Literally simulating gravity and potassium levels, and if we have all of these rooftop crossings and everything like that, like
how much calories do you burn? What's the what's the composition, the metal composition of this crossing? Is it rusted? Right. So this is a straw man, but
yes,
the point is accurate. That there is a level in which too much detail is a misapplication of your time as a creator, whether you're a GM fleshing out your own game world, or you're someone who's trying to put out a product or a game.
Right. And it's also, as someone who would be using the product, I don't want that level of detail.
Right. This is it's different, but they're connected. But the criticism against Vampire the Masquerade, or a criticism against VTM, which I agree with, is an overly fleshed out, overly detailed universe that is beholden to a meta plot. There's a big, at least in the written material, importance placed on lore characters and sort of lore events. We're not talking strictly about world building in the way that Sam is talking here right now, but you can see the overlap here. It's like I want enough detail to comfortably understand where I am and what the feel is. I do not want to have to know that the half block alleyway behind the tenement hall is now called,
Alleyman's Row.
Alleyman's Row. This is called, Katarn Street. But 30 years ago, when the tenement hall was not built and it was an open marketplace, it was called, Hookman's Alley or Hookman Row. This is, not only is it uninteresting to me, this is actively detrimental to me wanting to run something here.
Yeah, and some of the things we're going to say are things that he criticizes later, I think.
Correct.
Because I want blank spaces. Mm-hmm. I want enough to get my imagination going, but I don't want every stone turned. I want to be able to fill that in with my own creativity.
Right.
And I get what he's saying, that because later on he will talk about if your campaign is persisting in a city, mm-hmm. then these details do start to matter. You do need this sort of level of detail. But at the same time, it's if we're in a persisting campaign, it's that is stuff that can be built as time goes on to build out the city. I don't need or want this prepared beforehand.
This is also,
not
frankly,
to this level of detail.
A little bit of world building is frankly appealing to me as a DM. I don't want, if I'm using a setting,
I want a setting. I want an opinionated setting.
Yeah, and we're assuming here that we're using a setting because he's talking about products, people doing legwork on a world. Right. So we're assuming that we're using some kind of published setting. Yep. I do want
Doc Flamingo.
Oh.
Cities: 1A, good list of names. 2A, paragraph on each neighborhood. 3A, few important places and piece. 4A, list of the power player and piece with important details. More than that, you have a fetish.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
and he sort of does address this, right? But for those of you who can't understand what our president just said, he said cities: 1, a good list of names. 2, a paragraph on each neighborhood. 3, a few important places and NPCs. 4, a list of the power players NPCs with important details. Much more than that, you have a fetish.
Right, but. And you're right, there are some things he's going to criticize, but what we're getting to now is this is a good article, but it is held back, I think, significantly by
sounds like you should run a city adventure like a hex crawl. Base hex and adjacent hexes detailed to start. Discover the rest as you play.
Sounds like you should run a city adventure like a hex crawl. Base hex and adjacent hexes detailed to start. Discover the rest as you play.
I think this also depends. That sounds interesting to me if you're going to a new city the first time.
Right.
You don't know anything about it. It is essentially like an exploration. You've got to figure out what's going on in this block or this district or this neighborhood.
And that is, and he even sort of talks about this later on, but AX3, capital of the Borderlands, takes place mainly in the city of Seraphon, and there is a city a block by block city generator, so you can create this stuff on the fly.
Yeah. I think we should continue rather than putting the cart before the horse here.
Yeah. You can, of course, just name the streets and neighborhoods and blades yourself. And thank you guys for the $5 and $10. Thank you very much. You can, of course, just name the streets and neighborhoods in blades yourself without these detailed maps. The option always remains there. But that takes time and effort, the kind of time and effort that I, as a GM, maybe can't or won't spend. The legwork. I was more than happy to spend the $10 that Denis charges just to avoid doing all that legwork myself. Totally fair. Legwork is hard, yes, and which is why we're kind of saying that it's not worth it in most cases for an individual game master. It's basically all the boring or fiddly or tiring parts of writing up an imaginary place. It's pretty fun and breezy to say, ooh, what if there was a city that was on an island in a lake full of blood, and the blood came from a monster under the city, and the sewer is turned into its veins.
Cool.
It does sound cool. It's even pretty straightforward to start coming up with the names of important places and people in that city. The Fanged Gate, the Sanguine King, the Crimson Keepers. But sooner or later, the going gets hard. Sewers that turn into veins is an exciting idea, but what's the map of those sewers look like? Which streets have manhole covers? In which buildings basements include access? For that matter, what exactly do streets look like? And when the Crimson Keepers carve off chunks of the regenerating beast below, where do they store it? And how much do they carve per day? Once the text hits the table, cool concepts demand legwork, and legwork is a lot harder than dreaming up more mere ideas.
Here's where I more clearly and more firmly start to disagree. Because now we're getting examples, and these examples seem like meaningless minutia. Does it matter what which manhole covers have access? Do you need maps of the entire sewer system? Do you need to know beforehand which of the 900 basements in this city are directly connected beforehand? I would say no. That sounds like hell to me. And if I knew that beforehand, I don't give a shit. I'm going to forget that immediately. Immediately. And I'm not going to look at like a New York City urban planning map to figure that out. I'm not going to cross-reference that.
That's also
2182 Arch Avenue, you know, apartment 9. Oh, it actually does have basement access to the sewers.
Right.
I don't care.
I don't care. And for me, that sort of a thing, like looking at a map of the city does not give me inspiration or ideas.
No.
It can to an extent, but not like this. Like this sort of level of technical detail does not give me ideas for running a game or things that would be interesting in
and I think it's objectively true that these kind of considerations at this level of granularity are 100% of the time a waste of your time, because I've gamed with GMs who have tried to run games with a very evocative premise, with systems and in worlds that they ostensibly have run for and played in for years, in some cases decades, and they burn themselves out by session 2 or 3 because all of their effort is going into guessing, second guessing, and trying to figure out all of these things. Which manhole covers go well? Go where? I'm being a little exaggerating here, but it's like, what is the font on the street signs?
Every city is a vibe. You need to communicate the vibe, and then in your gold, and the rest will emerge through play.
Right, the vibe will emerge through play, but also I don't believe that it is an insurmountable or even like an egregious cognitive load on the part of the GM to provide a vibe. The vibe is what gets me excited.
Right.
And if I'm using a campaign setting, whether it's a city, a region, or a world, and it doesn't have a vibe, it's a poorly written product, and no amount of granular detail that may be helpful to me from like a mechanics perspective, right, is going to say that.
The most important setting goal is to establish existing tension and potential sources of conflict. You don't want to bury your setting's inspirational spark beneath information that will likely never be referenced.
Never be referenced.
Holy shit, $20.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the $20.
Generous. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we are huge fans of Broken Blade, who makes Streets Apparel and is poised to deliver his Kickstarter within 4 months of it closing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The books for Storms Over Sternberg have arrived in the United States, and not just arrived in the United States, but arrived at Kyle's doorstep. And he's going to be shipping those out soon. So,
and Streets Apparel is a great
awesome
game that hits the sweet spot of quote unquote legwork, what Sam is talking about here, and also maintaining the vibe and like, what would you say? Like,
I would
like
say
tending the vibe.
I would say though, it doesn't have the level of detail that they're talking about here. If
you want the level of detail, Streets of Peril is not for you.
It's not for you.
But you should not want that.
Yeah. Yeah, because and this is what we're talking like let me just finish reading this part. In many cases, GMs who quite reasonably don't want to do all this legwork just decide to wing it. I employed this strategy for a long time when it came to cities. Draw a simple overview map, write down a dozen possible street names, and then slot them into places as needed when they come up during the session. This works basically fine. It's enough to run a session or two, particularly if the players don't spend long in the city. But it starts to fall apart when players start needing persistent details, and winging it really doesn't work for dungeons, which is more zoomed-in locations demand a higher level of detail on a room-by-room basis. Unless you're an expert improviser, sooner or later you'll find yourself wanting the details that only legwork provides. And then he says, I come now to my sharper point. Legwork is so hard that sometimes it feels like RPG writers and designers aren't willing to do it at all. So that is true, that people oftentimes with these games do not give you basically anything. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is, this is why I hate I fucking hate old school essentials, because it's like a washing machine manual. There's no setting. There's not even an attempt at a world or anything. I want the game to at least give me something, to give me, especially if it's going to take place in a city, I want to know something about that city. I want to know about important places and things like that. But notice what I said. I want to know about important places.
Right.
Not places that aren't important, which is 99% of everything. And I get what he's saying, that you need these persistent details and knowing which street and blah blah blah. If you're doing this hyper technical top down thing where you're looking at the map and we're like, we go this way, and then we turn 45 degrees and we go this way. I don't have any interest in doing that.
Yes.
And as a point to being a game master, and what you were saying is that people like getting stuck on where's the manhole access and everything like that. In most cases, for most people who are spending their time doing that, it's not only that it's never going to be used, it's never going to make it to the table at all. And I don't mean, I came up with all this shit and then we played the game and then 90% of it was never touched. I mean that this guy is not going to get his game to the table, because most of the people who are doing this, and I'm not saying Sam Sorensen is doing this, he obviously is not, but most of these people who are doing stuff like this are using this as an excuse to not run the game.
Right.
I have to figure it out. I have to get everything figured out and perfect beforehand. And the truth is you don't.
You really don't. It's not even that you don't, it's that you actively should not do that. This is bad advice to spend your time doing that.
A short list of some things that don't take much legwork to make. Rules.
I don't know about that.
I disagree about that. Disagree. Almost lost my zen. I disagree on that. And this is where legwork, I think, matters the most, is in the rules and in the systems. And this is where something like Axe has Autark, they're completely right. They do the legwork. Like the rules for economics. They did insane amounts of research and spreadsheeting and all sorts of shit related to, like grain production and hog production in forests and hog production in swamps and all of this stuff to contribute to a system of rules that can be used.
Yeah. Alexander McCrease, actually, if you didn't know this, he does live in a Roman garrison.
Yeah.
As part of an ongoing simulational experiment to make his game better.
Right. I think it takes a lot of legwork to make good rules. Lore.
I also disagree. Because there is a difference between, again, you can go too granular and too high-minded with regards to lore, but lore is part of the vibe. It's not even just part of the vibe, it's part of the world, right. And the lore is a vehicle to convey the non-mechanical aspects of the place that you're gaming in.
Character options, I agree. Generally, that's a subset of rules, but it's a very, very minor subset. Generators, I also disagree here, because good generators, and this is there's a lot of bad generators out there that are dog shit. I've got a book that just came in from a Kickstarter that you might have heard of called Knave. That is just a bunch of D100 table generators, and it sucks. And I'm pissed because I backed that Kickstarter and I paid for shipping, and we went to fucking North Texas RPG Con, and they were selling it before my Kickstarter copy arrived. So fuck you, Ben Milton. Fuck you.
So angry you did lose it.
Yeah, I did lose myself.
Oh, now you really lost it.
All right, whatever. It's going down there. Yeah, so you can have bad generators and it can be dog shit and just slap together and not do anything for you. But you can have good generators.
Sure.
Which do take legwork. And he even references something sort of like this later on that we'll get to in a moment that took legwork.
Right.
And it was legwork is good. You don't want to misapply it, though.
But here's the thing.
Some of this stuff sounds like a horrible misapplication of it, and some of it sounds good.
Right, and I don't want to belabor the point. We should continue.
Yeah.
But all of this is to say...
Sorry, I got fired up.
No, it's fine. But, like, this is not... Legwork is not a helpful word. It's just as vague and broad a word as fun or as hard work is.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You know, this is not particularly helpful because on a surface level, everyone you hear do the legwork, and there's a layer of that word and what any normal person would interpret you to say do the legwork is make a good product,
right?
Or make deliver something good. We all want something good, but this word is not helpful really to sort of explain what you want because, and I'll end on this. I agree up to a certain point, but I have no idea how far afield you are of what I think.
And where it's important to do this and where it's not.
Right. So.
Yeah. So more things that are don't take much inspirational material. I don't think that's right because the inspiration.
I don't really agree with any.
I don't agree with any of these. And faction descriptions. That's easy. Faction descriptions are easy. He says, by contrast, a short list of things that do take quite a lot of legwork. Hex crawls, which follows. That's part of rules to me. That's a part of systems. So that's not compatible, in my opinion. Dungeons, cities, and all the NPCs that actually go in a faction. That is true. And working on NPCs that actually go in a faction is going to be the most important thing in the style of games that we run. So that does take a lot of legwork, and that would be, in my opinion, the place to put it. There's obviously some gray area between these, monsters, items, spell, and so on, but take a quick glance through Drive-Thru or Itch or Kickstarter and tell me which of you see more of. Is it the stuff that takes a lot of legwork to write or only a little? That is true. There's a lot of dog shit out there.
There's a lot of dog shit, but also a lot of RPG creators definitely likely deserve criticism. There's countless numbers of them. But whether they're indie or whether they're part of WotC or what have you, it isn't even so much that they're being lazy. It's that, although no doubt some of them aren't, a lot of them perhaps are, but they legitimately think that they are doing the legwork by giving you monster items, dungeons,
a new class. Yeah.
They do think they're doing the legwork, and it is it's not forgivable, but it is but that's what people buy.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is what the market is demanding.
So, but regardless, I'll leave with that.
Yeah, most people are the problem in that sense. We got another super chat here.
Oh.
I was this way starting out as a noob, but over the years I prep less and less and just move the setting govern my mind. I like being as surprised as the layers.
Yeah.
Yep.
100,
I agree.
100%.
100%.
And this
Good take.
maybe is a point that I'll get to, but I don't want to hold up this finishing out this.
Mr. Max says most people are the problem. Very true.
Very true. He's not wrong.
Yeah. And again, to shill our own stuff. And we will be one of these creators that are worthy of being criticized because we're putting something out there.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of the Shuck Oyster is we're doing the legwork on a single location. Because he's right. If you were to take the sort of detail that we're putting into the Shuck Oyster and all of the characters that are surrounding it and connecting it, and do that for every building, you'd have a monstrous amount of information.
Not only that, but there would be an extra layer of detail even to this one location that we would have to add, which we don't think is helpful.
Right.
At all.
It's not. That's the thing, is that
what's
it's
the total,
not helpful.
If an insurance auditor came into the Shuck Oyster, what's the total, gold point value of all the No.
Once I saw this pattern, this avoidance of doing the legwork, I started noticing it everywhere. In OSR land, depth crawls and other generators provide shortcuts to making huge spaces, mega dungeons, labyrinths, etc., without needing to do all the legwork in between. In story game land, the one-time rallying cry of "don't write a story" and "play to find out" have become code for just make the players or GM come up with everything themselves. In Tradland, established companies and studios churn out books full of extraneous systems and new character building options instead of adventures. That's fucking true. Mm-hmm. All of these, one way or another, allow writers to skip doing the legwork. I mean, that's true. But again, right. And part of this comes down to how active are your players and how active are you on it as a GM, because this just make the players or GM come up with everything. It's like, if you have enough information for a good premise, you and the players are going to be doing so much shit, coming up with so much shit just through play. It's like, this is almost a straw. Like, these things are almost kind of a straw man.
What is nice is he's realizing that it's like, if you're an OSR person, the one and only enemy isn't just the story game people, or the quote unquote trad, like normie D&D people. Everybody is sort of getting it wrong.
You're also the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never have trouble coming up with content in the game because the players are so wild in coming up with shit. And part of it's also because we usually tend to stay within the bounds of a small location. So perhaps the legwork is done in that sense.
Right.
But
the thing is, it is not difficult if I'm confident about the genre, the vibe of the region that we're playing in. It is not difficult for me to either come up with names or to fill in logical blanks that are not explicitly detailed. Most of the time, if it's a good product, even a middling product, this is not hard to extrapolate and to use my imagination to fill in the blanks and breathe life into something that only exists as a paragraph or a blurb on a page. And not only is like an excessive amount of let's say you do all this, you do a full detailed dungeon map and full write-ups of every character. It's not going to be enough. If you have to portray that character, or if the players encounter this character at this location that happens to have these 3 entrances to these 4 dungeons, I still have to... I don't even want to say juggle those things, because it seems like it's a tax. I still have to portray and roleplay these people and these locations in the moment.
Yeah.
So... there's an inflection point. Like, you can write 500 pages about a city block.
Yeah.
that also will not contain all of the depth and all of the history of that city block and the life story of all the people who have lived there.
And it's going to contain a bunch of shit that doesn't matter.
And it's not, it's going to,
That
most
will,
of it,
that will
99% of it is
matter.
not going to matter. And even if that wasn't the case, even if you just focused on the stuff that does matter, I still need to take that from the page to the imagined space we're inhabiting.
Because again, it's like putting the legwork into the systems and rules does matter, because those are the things you're going to interact with constantly. Doing it for characters also matters. I get what he's saying about, detailed locations and everything like that, but
the mechanics are also the things that imagination doesn't interface with.
Like this, yeah, true. But the mostly true. I won't get too far afield if I respond to that. But the idea that like this is taking off the cognitive load is it's not. It's shifting this to a different cognitive load of like this city state thing that he's talking about. That's so much information. You're going to have to do a ton of reading. You'll get some ideas, but you're never going to be able to retain all of that information. And if you have to look it up every time, that's going to...
And you will have to.
That to me is a tax that you're playing in the game, but you're also, it's like you're putting all of this extra shit into my brain that is going to... I'm going to have to think about and manage. Like you're taking the burden of me coming up with it on my own to me needing to process and collate and make use of something that's already pre-written.
I need to recall like facts. I need to recall information to write down.
And this is why we talk about points of interest. They are things that are interesting and things that actually matter. And it's the kind of thing like if you tried to look at history as just this vast array of facts and things, and there's people here and the dimensions of the wall on this street were this and blah 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 blah, but you don't have any sort of like theory to kind of interpret that and sift
that's
through
not history,
and find,
and you don't know anything
and find like what's important,
like
the ability to find and know what's important, or from the creative side to create details that are important. That's the important thing, because there's so much of this shit where it's like, do I need to know how much copper piping is in each wall of each apartment?
Right.
It's like and again, we're getting back to that kind of like resolution thing. There's an obvious point at which someone is going to say, this is complete horseshit, I don't need this.
Right.
And I think ours is just much closer. We reach that point much faster than this guy does. I talked about all of this a little with some friends, and they brought up an important question. Is this actually an issue? I guess we were just talking about that. What's the problem with having lots of other non-legwork stuff on hand and just winging it? Is legwork actually all that useful? The short answer to this question, and many others, is that a writer can afford to take time and effort to come up with better content than somebody improvising it live at the table. Yes, which is why I buy some supplements, because it does provide the useful legwork, but there's a lot of stuff that I would find completely not useful. This is true in every single case all the time. There are many great improvisers and even more bad writers.
True.
Yeah. But in general, particularly when it comes to adventures, writers have the ability to work at a breadth and depth that GMs who wing it simply can't.
In my Crack It campaign, I definitely need to know how much copper piping is in the walls.
Yeah, how else are you going to pay for more crack?
Yeah, thank you for the $5. And yes,
in that case, that is the most interesting fact.
That is the most interesting and important fact in that case. That is correct. Yes, GMs can tweak things to enhance them for their specific table in a way that writers never can, but a GM can't improvise a whole dungeon, let alone an entire campaign. Where's Jeffro when you need him? You got, that's why we have dungeon generators and everything like that. When the imaginary world, but you need to write it down in that case, I understand that. When the imaginary world of the game brings a real breadth and depth, when there truly is something over the next hill and the hill after that and the hill after that, new dimensions of play emerge. Many campaigns and books claim to be a sandbox, but unless the world proves rich and detailed across the board, can players truly explore and do what they like? But also, it's like I look at Axe, And a lot of other games, they have like even things like terrain encounters. So as you're exploring, cool details are being generated by the game for you. And this is not mapping that out in advance and coming up with that shit. You know, it's like the system has had the legwork done on it, and the system allows you to generate that stuff on the fly. You know, like...
Right. And again,
you can do this without the systems, but it's like, this is one thing where it's like legwork on a system is more important than legwork on, okay, what's over that hill? Let me write it down. What's over the next hill? Let me write it down. And like come up with all of this stuff beforehand.
Right.
Legwork proves its value to games even in cases that may appear less obvious. Take, for example, solo games, a genre and form arguably about players doing the legwork. One of the most enduring and popular solo RPG books, Tim Hutchings' 1,000-Year-Old Vampire, stands apart from many others in that it includes hundreds of prompts, and not just a random list of prompts or prompts on any topic Hutchings could think of, but carefully crafted prompts that nest and loop and feed into each other. Again, this is a systems thing. This is a rules thing. The rules themselves of 1,000-Year-Old Vampire are simple enough. The juice, the reason that I and many others keep coming back to it, lies in its prompts, the legwork. If Hutchings hadn't taken the time to write a couple hundred pretty good prompts, sure, we'd have a cool pitch and some neat vibes, but actually playing the game would be far more difficult and far less engaging.
I mean, this is also... I haven't looked at 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. I'm not interested in solo games, but again, using the term legwork in as near as I can ascertain what Sam means so far in what we've read, I don't understand, like, a detailed system of prompts seems very different from
how much copper piping is in the walls. Yeah,
and we're being hyperbolic.
We're being
with regard
hyperbolic,
to the copper
and it
piping.
is a bit straw man in that we understand that we're making
but
we're making
to
a
illustrate
point,
a
to
point.
Illustrate, yeah.
But again, on the previous paragraph, he's mentioning, explicit dungeon encounters for all of the locations that could exist. I do agree that a world, in as much as is possible, should be sort of objective and, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. But there's a wide difference between a fully detailed dungeon having to be a fully mapped and detailed as part of legwork to maintain world verisimilitude and a detailed solo gaming prompt of sort of life events. Because to your point, there are good dungeon encounter or wilderness encounter or dungeon generation tables that could be used. I'm not even putting my own opinion here on where I stand on that, but why is that doing the legwork? Is it not? You're giving the example of 1,000-Year-Old Vampire, which is a bunch of quote unquote good tables that give engaging prompts, but then also wanting fully fleshed out multiple dungeon maps at different locations. Like, there's a wide gulf in between those two, and I don't really understand where he's ultimately, he's coming down here.
And where I don't understand is the criticism of generators, because what he's talking about here, as far as I can see, the 1,000-Year-Old Vampire thing, this is a generator.
You're right.
These prompts that nest and loop and do all these things, that is a generator. Now, bad anything is bad.
Yes.
Like, I get that. But that to me is a good generator is way more useful than 5,000 pages of topography gone over in excruciating detail. A good list
I'd rather take one good generator than a multitude of bad dungeon maps and dungeon encounters.
And I do like having a lot of characters that have personalities and goals and things to draw from. that is something that I find important in like a setting book or an adventure, so to speak. But if we were to have thousands of those NPCs on hand, all mapped out in the whole city, like that to me is like, that's useless.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm like, this doesn't, I'm not reading that.
It's useless. And you know, my main criticism with this article is I don't know what I would need to do. If I was making a product, if I was making a game or a setting book, it's very unclear to me what level of depth and what
where
level of focus I need to apply it for me to be doing the legwork.
Right. Because you could do a bunch of legwork on something that he finds not interesting.
Right. So,
and it wouldn't matter to him, which is perfectly fine, because that's exactly the argument that I'm making. Is that like there's
that's
a lot,
true.
A lot of the
not
stuff
everything
that he seems
is
to be
equally applicable.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that he seems to be finding valuable, I'm like, I don't give a shit about that.
Right.
Some of it I do, but a lot of it I don't.
To a certain point, I do.
Yeah, to a certain point, but if you go too far with it, I just don't care.
Right.
Because it's like, look at those NPC things. It's like, oh yeah, we got a couple of sentences on each one. It's like, well, why not a whole paragraph?
Right, and why not?
Why not a whole page on each one?
Right. Oh well, it should.
2 paragraphs down.
Okay,
yeah. Well, okay.
Literally copper pipe argument.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. 2 paragraphs down, literally copper pipe argument.
Oh really? Here lies the key message. The axiom I want to impart: the more legwork the writer provides, the less GMs and players need to do themselves. Sure. It's for this reason that I largely stopped buying RPG books that aren't adventures. I can come up with systems and vibes and inspiration myself. That stuff's all exciting. But what I don't like coming up with is legwork. In fact, I'm very happy to modify and adjust it to my own systems or even my own campaigns to accommodate a bunch of good legwork from another designer, like Denise Maps. My Doskval looked a bit different before, but suddenly acquiring an entire Doskval, vastly more complete than my own, made for an excellent reason to change those previously established details. Okay. My recurring example here, the city, provides only one case. Many recurring popular daydreams really can only be solved through lots of long, slow, fairly draining writing. Ever wondered about a campaign of rusty space truckers who constantly need to swap and repair parts of their ship? You can, of course, just improvise it or abstract it. I'm already big time disagreeing. But to really run that space trucker campaign, you need lists of hundreds or thousands of parts that interlocked with each other. Legwork. Well, first of all, you don't need lists of hundreds or thousands of parts that interlock with each other. But second of all, if the game is about repairing your ship, you do need that.
He's convinced me I'm going to make a 200-page supplement about the men's room, the salty dog, and it will be the most immersive piss you've ever taken at your
table. Yeah, man. Thank you for the $10. That's funny.
Man.
You should unironically do that. That would be very funny.
But here's the thing. It's like, if you're running a campaign about rusty space truckers who constantly need to swap and repair parts on their ship.
I need to know how to repair something.
Then yeah, I need to know that. But do I need to know the details of every sector in the region, every other ship that's out there, like the thousands of spaceships and the thousands of characters that are out there?
You know, how many different threadings of interstellar screw do I need to detail? You know, before it becomes burdensome. But
it's like it's if you're describing a world or a universe, is even it's like you actually have to have a system for deciding what is important, because there's too much information. There's too many things that you could put legwork into. So it's like you have to be targeted on the legwork of what the concept of the game or adventure that you're focusing on.
And that will not come. This may be getting far afield, but I'll be brief. That discerning focus is not going to come from the thing itself. It can't, definitionally speaking. And
I do agree with him that like more character options, new race for you to play. It's a new background. It's a new 15 new cantrips. Like I don't give a fuck about that. But why isn't that
legwork? You know what I mean? Like why? It is more detailed. I have more character options. like I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm offering more character options. Therefore, there's an extra, more detailed, more quote unquote realistic level of granularity.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't find it interesting, but I don't see why, based on the metrics that are laid out here, character options and more character classes are not legwork, because it seems to me like they are.
Yeah. Ever mused on a system of magic with different magical languages and mysterious components and complex rituals?
Yes, every day.
Yeah, you can do it on the fly and use a bunch of systems math to simulate. But to really make the magic work, you need hundreds of text, components, materials, and ritual processes. Legwork. I don't need to know. I'm
not trying to literally do the magic.
Right. I don't need an actual grimoire
Yeah.
that my necromancer is going to be using to do his spells.
Yes.
I don't need that. Because that
not
that
only do you
is
not need that, you can't have that.
Yeah. Ever daydreamed about a real proper heist with guards and disguises and alarms and everything? You can retrofit and improvise it like Blades does. Excuse me. But to really run a heist, you need guard patrol routes and workers' weaknesses and camera locations and power lines and a million other timely fiddly details.
You don't, though.
Play a video game.
A video game will do it better.
Yeah, this is an instance where video games do this stuff better.
Right.
And I was thinking about this as we were going through like the whole thing of the cities and going down blocks. It's like, yeah, GTA 5 does that exceptionally well.
It does it really well.
Because you need that, because the point is you're driving around the city.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're driving around the city and the gameplay is about literally you controlling the car and walking around and doing these things, you do need that. Which is why it's like video games are full of this legwork, because it's necessary to do that.
Right.
In a tabletop role-playing game, you're not doing that.
Yeah, and this is... We have one left.
Well, let's
paragraph.
finish it out.
Yeah.
We'll finish it out. To answer my original question, how do you make a city feel like a city, seems to have only one real answer. Make a city, a big one, that's broad and deep and includes all the pieces. There is, as far as I can tell, no other substitute. Historically, we designers typically use clever math, rules, and out-of-character solutions to run these kinds of games. These work, sure, but they aren't the real thing. To truly get down in the weeds of an imaginary world and still have it maintain consistency and excitement, you need a ton of legwork in the background to support your moment-to-moment play. You need the ironclad backing of a great deal of content ready to hit the table without further preparation or improvisation. To play in a fantasy city, we needed City State of the Invincible Overlord. To play other dreams, we need more legwork.
The narrative includes plot and theme. The plot is what happens, theme is what you have to say about it. The narrative unites them by emphasizing what is important and minimizing what isn't.
But that's not even narrative, though. That's just how the human mind functions. Like we as human beings are surrounded by infinity data being processed through our senses at all times. Our brains process this in a way that allows us to distinguish between what's important and what's not. And this, a lot of what he seems to be asking for in this, as far as I can tell, it seems to me to be a bunch of shit that is not important.
Right. And
at least important to the kind of game that I would ever want to run or play in.
Yeah, and I think it just factually is unimportant because, again, after a certain point, you literally can't. Even if you're interested in these things, if you literally ran a game in New York City using an urban planner map of all of the details about New York City, a real place, using real maps that real people use to make sense of it, you can't actually use all of that information. And I think this is the art. There are some things I agree with the article, but this sort of attitude.
The guy started the article stating he was living in New York. Wouldn't that be enough to reject his opinion?
But this is, we've talked about this before. There's a correct apprehension of like a gap either in content or a gap in player interest or a gap in, you have a gap in information, one way or another. And it seems to me like Sam, along with a lot of other people, are looking at that gap in information and drawing the wrong conclusions. And I want to briefly tie this in, because I see he's in the chat. Night Danger recently had a very good video, detective stories, mysteries, where he is correct with regard to mysteries. Mysteries are a very different type of story. But at least if I understood his video, I disagree in sort of the conclusions that I believe he's taking with regard to looking for a procedure, a system to generate certain outcomes, or generate in Sam's article, generate by actually writing out all of the intricate details. No procedure, no system, no word count is going to get you there. And focusing too much in that direction is going to be actively detrimental to the activity. It's going to be a cancer on the ability to do the thing. It's going to erode the ability to immerse yourself. It's going to be erode the ability even to be sort of tactically minded, even if you're not trying to role play at all. We're trying. If I'm not role playing, I'm at least trying to move like my character as a chess piece on a board. None of us can do any of those things if we are cross-referencing obscene amounts of tables to generate new things at every step, or if the GM and or the players have to reference data, facts. What is this city called? How wide is it? How many street lamps? Are they sodium lamps? Or are they, what kind of light is it?
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I lived in New York for a very, very long time, and I sort of know what he's talking about of like, oh, there's just more and more and more and more. I have a friend, though, who walked every street in Manhattan, started at the bottom, and did the entire fucking thing. And he learned a lot about the city, but it's like,
I've 100%ed the city.
I've 100%ed Manhattan. But it's like, you don't actually have to do that, first of all. But second of all, like, you know how you make something feel like New York City is like, I've lived there. I can convey the vibe. Right. I can convey the vibe of what it's like to be in New York City. And having detailed maps of every alleyway and sewer system and everything like that is not remotely going to be the same thing. Like, it's
right.
I did not agree. I don't know what the point was, because it seems like the things that he wants the legwork in are shit that just doesn't matter to me at all.
Right.
Things that I'm like, I'm actively don't want you to do that. But there is some things that he wants that I also want, but it's not about legwork as such. It's about legwork in the right place. It's about, you have to apply effort in places that matter to the people who are going to be playing the game.
Right.
And since everybody has different interests, you can basically claim that any given product is like, your legwork was misapplied.
But this is the thing. Like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's a lot, especially towards the beginning, that Sam is identifying certain things which I agree with. My critique, like I disagree with what I think his conclusions are, but what my real critique on the article is, this article does not effectively convey what his opinion is, because, like I said, it's unclear. If my intention was to make something or to evaluate something to try and determine whether it would sort of cut the mustard, right? Would it exceed the amount of legwork to sort of meet Sam's standards?
Yeah.
I literally don't know. I can't actually, even if I disagree with it, I can't examine anything else and sort of determine if he would consider this good or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Things that don't take much legwork. Rules. LeMayo, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. You could ask the same question of dungeon rooms. What are the walls made of? What's the humidity? How flat is the ground? Can we smell blood? What forms of moss on every floor? How dusty is the place? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. Young Steve, I know you said it sounds like hell to know the entire sewer system. I agree with you. Can you explain why it would appeal to anyone?
No, I can't. I mean, I'm being facetious. Like, the reason it's appealing is because I think people are fooling themselves into believing that they can't know or understand a world without it. Or, frankly, there are people in this world who literally can't imagine.
Yeah.
And do need this.
That's true. That's true.
But even when they have this, it's not good because objectively, this level of detail is untenable.
Yeah. I have like 8 different rule sets or mechanical systems sitting on my Google Drive that I can't do anything with because the non-mechanical stuff is the hard part.
So rule sets or mechanical systems sitting on the...
So this would be an argument because he's been talking about the city thing and how it's actually quite good. Yeah, the minutia of things like manholes could be handled by something simple like an oracle. Yeah, right. You don't actually need that part of it written down for you. But I understand what you're saying here is that if they just give you rules and don't give you anything about a world, that to me I really don't like. I don't like that.
I don't want that.
I just make it up. Many of my players take notes. Solves itself. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My advice is just don't play or hang out with people who think Wikipedia articles are cool and or fun.
I mean, big agree there.
I want good procedures to make stuff either in prep or play. I want to explore the world with my players. Yeah, and and this is why it's like if you want good procedures do take legwork. That's
sure.
I get that part of it. But he specifically said that rules don't. It's like, what?
I don't get it, yeah.
I need to do a post about anti-cannon in the ultraviolet grasslands because Luca generally understands the appropriate level of setting detail better than anyone else on the market right now.
Nice.
Anti-cannon in the ultraviolet grasslands. I don't know what that is. We should look that up.
Well, I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong. I know that ultraviolet grasslands is a game. I haven't read it or played it. I'm assuming anti-canon is just like a theme. Anti, like, metaplot. Anti-lore. Anti, like, I need to know where everything is or I can't run the game. Right? The Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
Unless I know where Darth Vader sourced the, the plastic from. The plastic pellets that went to the... What contractor made the injection mold for his visor.
Well, and that's
what I'm assuming he means. Maybe anti-canon is a game.
That reminded me of. Funny you mentioned economics. No, that reminds me though of Leonard Reed's famous essay "I Pencil," where he describes basically that no one on Earth knows how to make a pencil, and what he's talking about is all of the various stages of production, from the final assembly, working backwards from the final assembly of the pencil to like, how did they shape the graphite? How did they make the machines that shape the graphite? How, like it goes into this infinite like regress basically of just like too much information and shit that you could possibly not know. And that knowledge cannot be contained by one person. So I want to know what this guy's stopping point is.
Right.
How does he draw that distinction in line? Because I'm not sure how I'm drawing the line either. Like I don't know exactly where that line is for me, but I certainly know it when I see it of just being like, this doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, and I think I have to think about this. It's there's something about honestly a big problem here. Even if you did have a firm or a more clear line in your head, and I don't have a exactly clear delineated line in my head. This is also a problem with attacking or approaching a topic from like like a negative fashion, where, like our soap opera video. What should you? There are 900,000 things that you shouldn't be focusing on, or shouldn't be focusing on beyond XYZ point. What you should be focusing on all the time is characters.
Yes.
Or our characters.
Yes. The characters are going to be the most important thing. I bought Streets in Perilous D6 based on the Black Lodge Games recommendation. Any shot the new books will be available through the Broken Blade site. I'd love to own one.
Hell yeah.
I'm sure he answered.
So.
Streets of Storms over Sternberg will be available on my site once I ship out all the Kickstarter books.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Backers get first dibs. As they should, Ben Milton. You goddamn... and Jacob Hurst.
OSC strips BX of any personality and strips me of any personality.
Yeah. The Broken Blade exactly as I'd expect it to be. I missed the Kickstarter. I can wait. I just wanted confirmation it'll be available eventually. Yes.
Yeah.
Night City has all the details of Gaussian blur set to 1,000%.
Yeah.
Red is too vague for me. I wish there was a more detailed map. Oddly enough, I've seen the opposite approach. No detail, just do whatever. Yeah, which also sucks.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
A highly detailed city map would be good if you were playing like a zombie apocalypse survival roguelike. Oh, I wouldn't want to play that though. Yeah, exactly. So a video game, exactly what we were saying. Like a video game, it can simulate all that shit, and you don't have to keep it in your head because the computer does it for you. That's what a computer is excellent at, remembering billions of facts accurately, instantaneously. Replaying the same city 100 times as if different people starting in different areas. Yeah, you could. I just don't want to do that in a role-playing game.
Yeah.
We're going to scroll down a bit because we're running short on time here. Acts 2 Judge's Journal has fantastic dynamic building generator. It mixes prep layout with dynamic generation. Building the generator took effort and research. Correct. And that's what I'm saying. Good generators and good procedures and good rules take a lot of research and a lot of legwork, you know?
Yeah.
So it was very odd that he was just like threw the fucking rules under the bus.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for Guts and Glory to come out and see how Ryan Howard does his urban adventure.
Yeah,
Me too. I'm super pumped about that. And we will have a video with Ryan Howard and Wonky from North Texas RPG Con coming out in a couple of days. And Off-Grid Garganar took off. Good to see you, man.
Take care, man.
Agree with wanting to be surprised as a GM. Nothing more boring than accurately predicting what the players will do. Yeah, that's the fucking worst. I never know what my players are going to do because they're schizo. Bitching on Twitter because it's apparent that nobody has actually read or run City State. It does all the things you like and none of the things you don't. It's all killer, no filler, and easy to run. Oh, all right. Well, we trust Night Danger, so
yes,
we will take a look at it.
He makes good stuff. I like. He's got a swag to him. He's got a vibe. He's got
that classic YouTube.
He's got the classic YouTube.
It's a guy sitting in a forest
thing. He's not living in a rat's nest. Bedroom. He's got his dog. He's smoking a cigar.
Although this is the rat's nest bookshelf at the moment, but
the book stack.
Yeah.
But he's outside in nature. It's good.
Right. Okay. So I'll retract the criticism on this book, which I was not mainly the point anyway, and I will check it out now because of your recommendation. But again, the point stands. I think the guy who wrote the article, his what he wants legwork in is completely misdirected. Failed roll for copper thievery. Oh no, asbestos. Refer to the building safety manual number 7.
Yeah.
Section 3 for detailed description of interior wall hazards. Yeah.
OSHA Simulator 2024.
Like the key with City State is that nothing needs to be memorized ahead of time and all the details relevant to the interests of players are included. Nothing irrelevant is included. That's good.
But what if I do call Sally like the graffiti suggests? Will I have a good time? How good a time? Damn it, I need tables for this shit.
Yeah, in the bathroom it says call Sally for a good time. Will I have a good time? I don't know. That's for the Kickstarter expansion.
The BLG boys occasionally just issue a very stern Ben at random intervals. Ben Milton on blast. Yeah, I disagree. The most important thing is theme. Well, we're jumping into the middle of a conversation here, so I don't know.
Theme is hugely important. I love a good theme.
1, get the wood and graphite. 2, build the fucking pencil.
Simple as.
Yes, simple as.
Idiot.
I think the line is drawn by themes and player character motivations. Okay, we're going kind of backwards. Get his ass. That you can't focus on it when playing. You have to use the premise you set up in the characters. You guys should look up the Ultraviolet Grasslands, at least for the art. It does have its own system.
I've heard that the art is very good.
Yeah.
I got the sense it was a very like rules-like game. I don't know if it's. I think it might be an OSR game. I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember watching videos about it like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we're 5 minutes over. We're out of time. So this has been a great conversation, though. We probably should have started reading that
sooner
in the stream than we did. But here we go. $10.
Oh my god.
He's putting the cart before the horse. The only detail that matters is what the players encounter. It's good to prep generality, but the detail only matters in the moment of role play.
Correct. Broadly speaking, like, yes, certainly that level of granularity, it really doesn't exist until the scene happens. You know?
Yeah. It's a D20 plus modifier game. You could easily do it with Wretched. Nice.
What is Ultraviolet Grasslands? Nice.
Anyhow, thank you guys. And thank you for all being so generous.
Thank you guys.
I hope you check out the Shuck Oyster Kickstarter. And I'm sorry, we should have started doing the blog earlier in the thing, because this ended up being a lot more interesting, and we had a lot more to say than I thought we would. But it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you guys, and
as it always is.
And we will see you. I think next Thursday is July 4th, so potentially on
maybe
Wednesday.
we'll do something fun for that.
Yeah, maybe we will stream on July 4th. We'll see. But my dog will be having Vietnam flashbacks. So with all the fireworks. So anyways, have a good night, everybody.
Take it easy, boys.
We're gonna sign off.